Hello, everybody. This is Noe with Walk with Yah Ministry, a ministry that does deliverance, helps remove spiritual oppression from people, as well as teach people about spiritual warfare and how to live the Bible so that way they don't need deliverance. I'm asking the question today, do you avoid conflicts in relationships? We all know the meme, the meeme, however you pronounce it. The times when people get together, especially families during the holidays, where there's issues that are causing division because they haven't been dealt with. It's the elephant in the room, if you will. And everyone knows that these arguments, these divisions, are causing problems that can go on for generations, for lifetimes. While, to be honest, the demons are just totally laughing, knowing that if people applied the tenets of the Bible, that the problems could be fixed. Now, I'm not saying that they would be fixed quickly or easily, but it's better than the division and the loss of blessings. We also see this many times in marriages as well, where one spouse may put up with another spouse's ways because they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to make the situation worse. They don't want to confront the problem. So they avoid the problem to avoid the pain, only to later wish that they would have dealt with it much earlier, because then they find it has robbed them of much of their life in so many ways. Now, it might get to a point where at some point in time, now they're exploding about everything, where everything's a problem. And when it gets to that point, a lot of times it's just like a spider web. Like you pull on this little problem over here, and it's tied to all these other problems, and you almost can't get anything done because everything's tied to something else, and it's a big problem. And so in Hebrews 12, verse 15, the Bible says, "See to it that no one falls short of the favor of God, of Elohim, that no root of bitterness springing up causes trouble, by which many become defiled." So when the root of bitterness, kind of settles in, gets grounded, then there are word curse, spiritual darts and arrows flying all over the place, every which way. Everyone's hating everybody, and just all kinds of just chaos and trauma. Now, of course, that's an extreme, and it doesn't always come to that, but it does too often. Now, it may not be as drama-laced, but it can still happen where one person doesn't feel that they can be as open, honest, and may even feel very secure or guarded around another person or a group of people. The love that we should have for others sours, and it turns into something that the enemy can use to block our blessings as well as the other person's. And did I ever mention that not forgiving people is a great way to keep your demons? Anyways, another topic, just saying. Now, what I'm not saying is every time you get offended that you just need to go full on Jezebel and just blast the other person, and just let you know men can have a Jezebel demon also as well. And so if you get triggered, there might be something in you that's causing that problem. It may not be totally the other person, and a lot of times there's something on both sides of the equation, or on all sides of the equation if there's more than two people involved. So what I am saying is, when we apply the Bible to our lives, the sooner, the more, the better it will be. Again, the quicker we can do that. So in addition to sins of commission, which are, acts that we have done, sinful acts, keep in mind, there's also sins of omission, where we don't stand up and we don't deal with our problems. For example, we see God, talking to Israel about this in Exodus 23, verses 29 through 33, I'm just going to reference, where he's telling the Israelites, hey, you need to get rid of these people, and I'm going to help drive them out, but I'm not going to do it all at once. And so little by little, we're going to do this. And so I believe, because that's, sometimes there's lessons to be learned along the way. A lot of times in deliverance ministry, it's not done quickly because there's things we have to learn in the process. And then he says in verse 31, I shall set up your border. And then you need to drive the people out. So a lot of times we have to set up boundaries. And so we have to learn how to do that. When are they applicable? Going on, in verse 32, he says, do not make a covenant with them, nor their mighty ones. Do not let them dwell in your land, lest they make you sin against me, and then it shall become as a snare to you. So, a lot of times, when we don't deal with these people, we can act in unrighteous ways that now he's coming against us because we're not acting righteously as the Bible prescribes. So I am just trying to help you, by the way. So now we know what happened with Israel, and it could be debated that, some of the things that they didn't do are still causing them problems today. But let me put it this way. If you don't deal with your problems, well, then somebody else is dealing with your problems, because they will come out in different ways. Somebody that you love, somebody that you care for, someone that you want in your life, they may be the ones that you are just gaslighting, that you're causing problems for them, or maybe you're dealing with somebody else's problems because they haven't dealt with their problems. So if we all deal with our problems, it'll be that much better all the way around. But I strongly suggest you look at what the Bible has to say about, these various problems. And these days there's just so many different ways to get help, even if it's not deliverance ministry. Although I will say some ways are better and more biblical than others. And I don't suggest self-medicating, such as, some addictions or pornography or whatever other sin. The Bible says in 2 Corinthians 13, verse 5, examine yourselves whether you are in the belief. Prove yourselves that Yeshua Messiah, Jesus, is in you, unless you are disproved. So a lot of times we need to take an examination of ourselves just to see, hey, are we good? And we have to do that with others around us also as well. In Proverbs 4, verses 18 and 19, the Bible says, but the path of the righteous is like the light of dawn, that shines ever bright unto the perfect day. Good, happy stuff. But in verse 19, the Bible also says, the way of the wrong is like darkness. They do not know it, what they stumble. And so if we don't examine ourselves, we don't know what we're stumbling over. So you might want to get with someone that you can trust, that can give you constructive criticism to see if there's anything that you might need to work on. And I will say, just as I start to end this, if you think that God's commands don't apply to you, well, then they especially apply to you. Because the devil uses these tactics all the time because they work. If your way of dealing with problems is not dealing with them, that will only last for so long, more than likely. And it's going to cause other, perhaps bigger problems along the way. So I just encourage you to, try to set yourself up for blessings. And so I pray that this blesses you in some type of way. This is Noe with Walk with Yah Ministry. And just remember, maybe your miracle could be next.